Nezuko is perhaps the most beloved character in Demon Slayer. I mean, she's just way too adorable. However, have you ever wondered what would happen if Nezuko actually joined Muzan? What would happen to the story? Well, you don't have to think about all this because we've compiled some interesting theories regarding it. So sit back and maybe grab some popcorn. In the original timeline, after Nezuko conquered the sun, she stayed the same and doesn't change at all. However, in this alternate timeline, things are slightly different. After Nezuko conquers the sun, she feels an unexpected sensation deep within her, a hunger stronger than anything she's felt before. The sunlight, instead of weakening her, has unlocked a new, overwhelming demonic power. Her eyes flicker from their usual pink hue to the blood red of a full-fledged demon. Nezuko attempts to get rid of this feeling, but as time passes, the hunger intensifies. One night, Nezuko escapes the butterfly mansion to search for some blood. While all of this was going on, Muzan had been searching for Nezuko all this time, and sees the opportunity to get her to join him. You might think that Muzan would devour Nezuko the instant he sees her, but that's not the case. Muzan, knowing the Demon Slayers would come for Nezuko, doesn't attack her. Instead, he keeps her hidden within the Infinity Castle, manipulating her growing hunger. He feeds her small amounts of human blood, allowing her power to grow but keeping her under his control. Bro thinks he's Aizen. Nezuko's once bright personality begins to fade as the hunger twists her thoughts. She becomes more distant, her mind clouded with confusion and anger. Muzan watches her transformation with satisfaction, knowing that the longer she stays under his control, the harder it will be for her to return to her former self. Just like in the original timeline, the Demon Slayers invade the Infinity Castle after assuming that Muzan has taken Nezuko away. In the heart of the Infinity Castle, Tanjiro finds Nezuko, her eyes burning red, her demonic power fully awakened by the sun. She stands beside Muzan, her will seemingly being consumed by the insatiable hunger and his manipulation. Tanjiro desperately tries to reach her, but Nezuko, driven by her overpowering demon instincts, attacks him without hesitation. Her strength is overwhelming, far beyond what he could have imagined. Tanjiro fights desperately, unwilling to harm Nezuko, while Muzan watches with cruel satisfaction. As Tanjiro's getting cooked by her, he notices some hesitation from Nezuko's attacks, and realizes that she's trying to fight back against her instincts. Sensing this, Muzan quickly grabs Nezuko, and to Tanjiro's horror, devours her before he can stop it. Nezuko's immense power, including her ability to withstand the sun, merges with Muzan, transforming him into something far more dangerous. Now infused with Nezuko's strength, Muzan becomes the ultimate demon king, his power surging beyond anything before. Tanjiro is devastated as Muzan, unstoppable in his new form, prepares to unleash his reign of terror upon the world. In the previous scenario, we assumed that Nezuko would join Muzan later in the story. However, in this one, we'll assume Nezuko becomes evil right from the beginning. In the original timeline, when Tanjiro discovers his dead family and Nezuko, he attempts to take Nezuko to the nearest town. On their way, Nezuko attacks him, but she still remembers him and even saves him when Giyu appears at the spot. However, in this timeline, things are a bit different. In this scenario, Nezuko doesn't have enough control over herself, fails to recognize Tanjiro, and ends up devouring him. How will this affect the storyline? Well, Nezuko will make her way to a nearby town, where she will continue devouring humans and getting stronger. She'll eventually become strong enough to be a part of the Lower Moons. During the Entertainment District arc, we noticed how she was able to overwhelm Daki, who is a literal upper moon. Well, Gyutaro is the real one, but Daki is still strong enough to be a member of the Lower Moons at least. At that time, Nezuko had not even devoured any humans, but in this timeline, Nezuko will keep consuming humans and get insanely strong. In the meantime, Zenitsu and Inosuke will still become demon slayers, but in the absence of Tanjiro and Nezuko, they won't last long. They'll probably survive the battle against Kyogai, but they won't survive the fight against Rui and his family. We all know that Muzan got rid of all the Lower Moons because they were pretty damn useless, just like my conversation skills with women. However, he will spare Enmu and Nezuko after realizing her insane potential. During the Mugen Train arc, Rengoku will lose his life just like in the original timeline. In the Entertainment District arc, Tengen will face Gyutaro and Daki. In the original timeline, he managed to defeat them owing to Tanjiro and the others' help. However, in this time, he won't be able to keep up with both of them, and he'll lose his life. Mitsuri will most likely lose her life during the Swordsmith Village arc against Hantengu, after putting up a good fight. Muichiro, on the other hand, will probably win against Gyoko, because he managed to cook that ugly-ass demon in the OG timeline as well. At this point, Nezuko has probably reached the upper moon level, and will replace the likes of Tengen or Gyoko. Despite all this, Muzan still doesn't know that Nezuko can walk under the sun, because no one has ever pushed her to this limit. With all of this going on, the Hashira will keep dying because Tanjiro is not there to save their ass. The cycle will continue with Hashira dying, and Muzan will continue searching for the blue spider lily. In the previous scenario, we assume that Nezuko killed Tanjiro in the beginning. However, in this one, things are a bit different. In this scenario, when Muzan appears at Tanjiro's home to kill all of them, he notices the Hanafuda earrings lying around and gets PTSD from that. At that point, he decides to take revenge on the Kamado family family, and turns Nezuko into a demon instead of killing her, and takes her with him. When Tanjiro returns, all he witnesses is his dead family and missing Nezuko. He figures that the demon that killed his family probably devoured her completely. At that point, Tanjiro fails to comprehend all of this and starts wandering around aimlessly. He doesn't know what to do with his life anymore. On his way, he comes across Giyu, who has sensed the blood on his clothes and thinks it's probably a demon attacking someone. Much to his surprise, it's a boy with lifeless eyes wandering aimlessly. He questions him about the blood on his clothes, but Tanjiro ignores him. This pisses off Giyu as he smacks him back to reality and questions him again. Tanjiro tells him everything about what happened to his family. At that point, Giyu offers him to become a demon slayer and avenge his family. Following some careful consideration, Tanjiro agrees to this. Giyu refers him to Urokodaki, who eventually agrees to train him just like the original timeline. The story proceeds as Tanjiro meets Zenitsu and Inosuke on this mission, and the trio starts traveling together. The story will likely proceed just like the original timeline, while in the meanwhile, Muzan has turned Nezuko into a vicious demon. She's already at the level of Lower Moon and completely under Muzan's control. Tanjiro and the others will survive the Mugen Train arc like the original timeline, with Rengoku losing his life. However, in this timeline, there will be a lot more casualties because there's no Nezuko, and she played a massive role in saving people. In the Entertainment District arc, Tanjiro and the others will be able to kill Gyutaro and Daki, but Tengen will lose his life because it was Nezuko who healed him in the original timeline. The rest of the story will proceed just like the original timeline, and it's finally time for the Infinity Castle arc. At this point, Nezuko has become the upper two moon, far surpassing the likes of Akaza and Doma. She always stays by Muzan's side as his pet. Meanwhile, Tanjiro and the Hashira enter Infinity Castle, and the war begins just like the original timeline. After defeating Akaza, Tanjiro eventually reaches Muzan, where he finds Nezuko, her eyes glowing red. No longer the sister he remembers. He immediately remembers this vicious demon as his sister Nezuko, but she refuses to recognize him. Tanjiro tries to reach her, but Nezuko, driven by her demon instincts, attacks with incredible force. Tanjiro struggles to fight back without hurting her, but soon realizes that she is way too strong for him. As the battle continues, Tanjiro's Hinokami Kagura sparks a memory in Nezuko of their family. For a moment, she hesitates, her human side trying to return. Muzan orders her to finish the fight, but she begins to resist him. Slowly, Nezuko regains her senses, her eyes turning pink again. This infuriates Muzan, and he attempts to control her with his blood. But much to his surprise, Nezuko resists his control and stands firm. In the meantime, the other Hashira also appear at the spot, and the final battle with Muzan begins. With the Upper Moon 2 Nezuko on their side, Tanjiro and the others manage to defeat Muzan rather smoothly. Just as the fight ends, the sun rises and Muzan burns to a crisp. Nezuko also bids farewell to Muzan, believing that she will also disappear. However, things get insanely emotional when she survives the sun. She aids the Demon Slayer Corps in getting rid of the remaining demons. Zenitsu ends up falling for her in this timeline as well, but she's a demon, so I wonder what they'll do. So what do you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date for more content. With that, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!